Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be continuing my updated World Cup predictions today. In case you missed it, in my last video, I did an updated group stage prediction for the World Cup that's coming up later this year. I had to do an update as not only have we seen a pretty interesting international break, we also have some new teams in the tournament. This website is called The Telegraph. I'll leave a link to it in the description below if you want to check it out and have a go with your predictions. Here's a refresher of what I said would happen in the group stages. Some pretty bold picks, such as the World Cup champions curse happening for France, Tunisia advancing over them. It seems crazy, I know, but we said the same thing about Spain and Germany in the previous two World Cups, and boom, they got knocked down in the group stage themselves. Although France look amazing, there's definitely going to be an upset or two in this tournament. So that's the one I went with. And yeah, obviously went for some other debatable picks, but those are my updated thoughts. These are subject to change. The round of 16 matchups that I have placed include Netherlands versus USA, Argentina versus Tunisia, England versus Senegal, Denmark versus Poland, Germany versus Belgium, Brazil versus Uruguay, Croatia versus Spain, and Portugal versus Serbia. As always, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Leave an early like. Let's try to hit 3,000 in this video. Why not? But let's kick things off with that first matchup. Netherlands versus USA. I would hope the USA pull through in this, but Netherlands at the moment are looking like one of the most informed teams in Europe in the Nations League. They got one draw against Poland 2-2, but other than that, they're rotating their squad throughout the entire international break. They're showing that their depth is there, and despite that draw against Poland, they still managed to grab 3 wins. They beat Belgium 4-1 as well. They have one of the best back lines in this tournament. Maybe the USA can put off a good fight, but I do not see them coming out on top on this, although we could see some standout players having a decent run in this tournament, especially in the group stage. I think they will fall short to Netherlands. I'm saying Netherlands make it to the quarterfinals. Now taking a look at Argentina versus Tunisia. Yes, like I stated, I predicted that France would get out of the group stage. Last time I had Argentina coming up against France in this round, which would have been an epic rematch as they had to play each other in the round of 16s in 2018 in Russia. Argentina are in some of the best form in the world at the moment. They've got some of the best attack. They're in an unbeaten streak of 30 or 40 or so matches. I can't rule out Argentina here, although it would be incredible for Tunisia to get this far in the tournament. Argentina are looking so much better compared to 2018. Way more of a structured side compared to back in the day. They obviously still have some superstars like Messi, Di Maria, but it seems like there's more balance and everyone's pulling their weight. The defense coming in clutch. Martinez fighting for his team till the absolute end in between the sticks. I 100% got to give Argentina a spot to the quarterfinals. Good luck, Tunisia, though. Now for England versus Senegal. Obviously, England look like the favorites on paper here. They're one of the favorites for this tournament, but we cannot forget about their terrible run in the Nations League in this last international break. Clearly, being the better team on paper isn't enough. And not only that, Senegal on paper can definitely put up a good fight against England and possibly win this match. They've got Sadio Mane, who is about to go to Bayern Munich, but he's been playing in England for years. He'll definitely be familiar with these opponents. Also, their keeper Mendy will have some familiarity as he plays for Chelsea. Koulibaly's a fantastic defender. Idrissa Gueye, solid midfielder for PSG. Senegal are one of the best teams in Africa on paper, and England should not underestimate them whatsoever, especially with the form they've been in. However, although England have been in some terrible form recently, Southgate does have a fantastic record in these big tournaments. World Cup semifinals, Euro finals. I don't even mean to necessarily go all on about England's Nations League results. Obviously, those losses to Hungary were terrible, but I do see one quote-unquote upset happening in the round of 16s. If I gotta pick one, I think it's gonna be this. Senegal make it out on top over England. I know I'm going to get loads of hate for this in the comments. England fans are obviously very, very hopeful for the World Cup still, even with the Nations League disappointments. I don't blame them. Phenomenal squad with some of the best morale, but this might be the end for Southgate. If England get knocked out this early, I think he will be sacked. It's a huge disappointment for England, I know. It's not expected, I know, but this is my upset for the round of 16s. If you even want to call it an upset, Senegal are a great side. I think they're going to have a solid story in this World Cup, make it to the quarterfinals. Let's move on to the next matchup, Denmark versus Poland. At the moment, these sides actually contrast each other very much. Denmark is one of the most solid units in Europe, and many people consider them to be a dark horse, although they have proven their worth in many tournaments. But still, they don't necessarily have a stick-out player in any position. It's just a solid unit, all pull in their weight the same amount. You can make arguments about Schmeichel, but still, in every position, they got someone to rely on. Meanwhile, for Poland, there are loads of stick-up players. Robert Lewandowski, one of the best strikers in the world. Zielinski on Napoli, Szczesny the goalkeeper. Poland still look like a solid unit, but they might have some gaps. And Michnovic still has to prove himself. Obviously, he has been experimenting things throughout the Nations League, but he still ended up losing to Belgium 6-1. Belgium are a fantastic side, but still. I have Denmark still as one of those teams that will have a good run in this tournament, and although it's very possible, I do not see Poland topping them in this round. I'm saying Denmark make it to the quarterfinals. Now for Deutschland versus Belgium. In my last video, I said that Germany were going to be the winners of the World Cup. And throughout these World Cup discussions, I've been slamming Belgium a bit too much. They were my favorites in Euro 2020, and even the World Cup in 2018. But if they couldn't win it both of those times, their squad is looking a bit weaker compared to then, with the golden generation disintegrating. Yes, they have some youngsters stepping up, but I don't think it will be enough. I do see Belgium making it out of the group, but whoever they end up playing, whether it's Germany or Spain, maybe they'll play Japan or Costa Rica, but odds are it's going to be one of those teams from Europe. I think Germany can tactically break Belgium down. Hansi Flick is a fantastic manager. I do see him having a solid run in the World Cup. I don't know if they're my favorites for the whole tournament anymore. Spoiler alert. But I do think they can top a side like Belgium, especially if they're still going to rely on the likes of Toby Alderweireld and Vertonghen. Class players, but they're not at the peak of their career anymore. We'll see if they end up implementing some other youngsters in the back line. It won't be a drastic scoreline, but I'm saying Germany make it out on top to the quarterfinals. Now for the South American matchup, Brazil versus Uruguay. Brazil, for many, are argued to be one of the favorites in this tournament. It's a bit unfortunate Uruguay would have to play them as soon if this prediction were to be true, as Uruguay are still implementing their veterans like Suarez, Cavani, Godin, but they also have so many exciting youngsters that are going to want to prove themselves and have a great tournament. It's not going to be an easy fight for Brazil, but I could see them getting a 1-0 or 2-0 scoreline against Uruguay, making it to the quarterfinals. It's going to be close though. I'm sure it's a shame for the South American community to knock out one another at this stage, because it's been a while since we've seen a South American country win a World Cup. I'm sure they'll want to go far together, but Brazil's going to do what they got to do. Now for Croatia versus Spain. Spain, probably the favorites for many, but don't rule out Hrvatska, especially in this matchup. Croatia and Spain have a pretty decent history. Let's not forget about Euro 2020, where yes, Spain did beat Croatia, but it was an exciting thriller. Croatia nearly completed the comeback. Had to go extra time, loads of goals. Also in Euro 2016, Croatia and Spain were in the same group, and Croatia ended up topping them. Croatia were also missing Perisic in the matchup in Euro 2020. Perisic was a key contributor to the win against Spain in Euro 2016. It's possible for Croatia to pull through. However, I hate to say it, but my prediction for the World Cup is that Croatia bossed their group stage, like I said in the previous video, but they have an early exit in the knockouts. It's going to be similar to Euro 2016. A repeat of Portugal breaking our hearts. Imo Hrvatska, have a solid World Cup. Prove me wrong. Make it to the final again. But that's my take. Portugal versus Serbia, the rematch of the World Cup qualifiers. As we all remember, Serbia did upset Portugal on that final match day, where they automatically qualified for the World Cup over Portugal. Portugal genuinely had a scare if they would make the World Cup or not after that, as they're in the same playoff spot as Italy. But yeah, Italy obviously got sent home even earlier because they had to face Macedonia. So Portugal are still in, relieved, and I think they're going to be very determined to grab revenge against Serbia. I hate to say it. Serbia do have the potential to be a phenomenal dark horse team in this World Cup and make it pretty far. I wouldn't rule them out necessarily, as they've already done it against Portugal. They can easily do it again. The only thing that concerns me for Serbia is their defense. So if Portugal's attack pulls through that day, it's going to be a nightmare for them in the back. But at the same time, my main criticism for Portugal was Santos, and the Serbian squad has seemed to outclass his tactics. But I think Portugal will make it to the quarterfinals. Guys, if you're upset with my predictions, I am too. I don't want this to happen. I hope Croatia pulled through. I hope Serbia pulled through. But these are simply my thoughts at the moment. Subject to change, by the way. I hope some other underdog tales pulled through, like Tunisia beating Argentina would be incredible somehow. Let's move on to the quarterfinals now. Some great matchups. Two of these first quarterfinal matchups were already semifinal matchups in the World Cup 2014. Netherlands versus Argentina, Germany versus Brazil, Spain versus Portugal is also a World Cup historic matchup in 2018. One of the most thrilling matchups in the group stage. Senegal versus Denmark, the battle of the quote-unquote dark horse of the tournament, with both great squads nevertheless. If these predictions come true, that's absolutely great that one of these teams will make it to the semifinals. So let's start off with Netherlands versus Argentina. Last time, Argentina beat them on penalties. Can Netherlands get revenge? I see this one being very, very close. Both of these sides are in some of the best form. Both had phenomenal squads. Netherlands might have the better back line, but Argentina definitely have the better attack. This one could really go either way. It's a 50-50 one. If you say the opposite for me, I wouldn't blame you whatsoever. At the moment, Netherlands should be the most confident side in Europe, while Argentina seem to be one of the most confident sides in South America, along with Brazil. It's hard to logically argue for either or. Both can definitely pull through. If I gotta pick one, I'm gonna go with the South American side. Argentina makes it to the semifinals. Netherlands should not lose belief whatsoever, though. I mean, they've just been so clutch in these Nations League matches. Who knows? They could score some 90th minute goals against Argentina. But I see things going Argentina's way like they have been for a very long time now. Now for Germany versus Brazil. We all remember that 7-1 victory Germany had at the Brazilian home ground. Will something like that happen yet again? I definitely don't think so. Along with Argentina, Brazil were also undefeated in the World Cup qualifiers in South America. This is going to be a big test for them. It's time for them to play a European giant that absolutely embarrassed them, where they were also potential favorite. Brazil were the last South American team to win a World Cup. That was all the way back in 2002, 20 years ago. I've obviously been praising Hansi Flick in all these videos, but I think this might be where he crumbles. Brazil make it to the semifinals. Brazil always seem to have a decent run in the World Cup, but then get outclassed by a European team. Last time it was to Belgium. Before then, that Germany embarrassment. I think this time they can grab a victory against Deutschland and make it to the semifinals. I know last time Germany was my World Cup favorite, but I am starting to doubt that pick now. I think this is still a solid result for Germany, though, as last time they were knocked down the group stage, so there will be improvement, and the squad is still developing and transitioning to what it once was. Hansi Flick will eventually bring them back to glory. At the moment, I don't think it's going to be this World Cup, though. They'll still put off a good fight against Brazil. Nevertheless, this might be their tightest scoreline, but Brazil will make it out on top. Next up, the dark horse matchup, Senegal versus Denmark. Will Senegal be able to break history, make it to the semifinals, the first African team to ever do so in the World Cup? Or will Denmark continue to prove that they're one of the best sides in Europe that still people seem to sleep on from time to time? What a journey this would be for Senegal as well. To knock out England in the round of 16s, if that somehow happens, would be incredible. They're just one step away now from breaking history. But for me, Denmark just works so freaking well as a unit. Even if they have some injuries going their way, they're still going to play with their absolute heart out. All 11 players on the pitch, no matter what it takes. Meanwhile, if Senegal have some injuries, it's going to be a bit tougher for them to cope. Obviously, we don't know who's going to be fully fit and all that by the time this rolls around. And this matchup might not even happen, obviously. But I think Denmark might just be able to edge it against Senegal. I am low-key rooting for Senegal because I hope the African curse is broken. But at the moment, I just do see Denmark continuing to prove their worth, making it to a semi-final for a second consecutive international tournament in a row. That would be incredible. Just one step away from the final now for Denmark. Now moving on to Spain versus Portugal. This one will be a thriller that I could very much see going to extra time. Flip of a coin in my opinion. Portugal with the phenomenal attack. Spain with the phenomenal midfield. Both have very solid lines of defense. Although I have Portugal making it all the way to the quarterfinals, I do see Santos crumbling at some point, possibly. And I'm going to say it's here. I have Spain making it to the semifinals. Both of these sides are obviously in the same Nations League group at the moment, so this matchup will be interesting if it happens, as they're going to have a decent amount of practice against one another. And who knows who will end up topping that group at the end. Spain will barely scrape through. That might not be a popular opinion. I'm seeing loads of people actually predict Portugal to make it all the way to the final. And I won't be surprised if it happens. Phenomenal squad. But I still am doubting Santos a tad bit. But now for these incredible semi-final matchups. One South American team is definitely making it to the final now, and one European team as well. Argentina-Brazil is really a flip of a coin. Both of these sides have been absolutely incredible. I said it earlier, but I think these are the two best teams to bank on to win the entire tournament at the moment. I know some people might not be happy with that answer, as I do focus a lot on Europe on this channel, but it's been 20 years. 20 years too long that a South American team has won the World Cup. Which one is it going to be, though? Argentina or Brazil? Argentina, obviously, with the recent history, winning Copa America in the final against Brazil. Both Messi and Neymar want it so freaking badly. People could argue that Brazil might look better on paper, but this Argentinian side, the belief right now is just out of this world. I truly think both of these sides will look like the most confident bunch in this tournament. It's really hard to bring up logistical arguments at this point. I know I'm wearing a Brazil kit, but I'm gonna say Argentina make it to the final. I really don't know about this one. Like I said, I think one of these sides is gonna win the World Cup, so it's a shame that they gotta come up against each other in the semifinals, because both definitely finalist teams for sure. But I'm sticking with Argentina. And for Denmark versus Spain, unfortunately, I think this is where Denmark's amazing run ends. Spain make it to the final. Spain made it all the way to the semifinals in Euro 2020 when they looked so doubtful in the group stage. This squad is transitioning like crazy, and Luis Enrique seems to have it figured out now. Spain to me just definitely seem like a side that will continue to build momentum throughout the tournament. They'll look like a more and more promising side throughout every match, and I think they can excel in this matchup. Best of luck to Denmark, though. So yeah, the final for me is Argentina versus Spain. Last time I had Germany versus Spain, but now I have more belief in the South American nations. I already told you I think's gonna win Argentina. I do think Argentina will be the winners, and it looks like most people think that as well, or at least people who went on this site. Argentina's at the top with 20%, Brazil with 18%, England with 16. I mean, the England pick might be a bit biased as this is a British website, but regardless, it looks like the majority agrees with me that a South American country are the favorites this year. It will still leave players like Pedri to probably have young player of the tournament, and it will leave the Spanish side to still be very hopeful for the future. Hopefully Enrique stays. He's honestly been really impressing me ever since he's came in. But yeah, I'm going to say Messi has the best send-off of his international career. He already announced that this is his last World Cup. If he ends it with the trophy that he's been desiring his entire career, so freaking close in 2014, just missing out at the very end, that is my projected winner. If it's not going to be Argentina, for me, probably Brazil. But yeah, as always, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Who's winning the World Cup this year? Which matchups did I get wrong here? Which teams did I not include that you think should have been in the knockouts in the first place? Let me know down below. Please leave a like if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new. And yeah, loads of more World Cup content to come very, very soon. Take care. Lá com noite.